What is up, Pitt fans? Welcome to another edition of the PG Pitt Show brought to you by FanDuel. My name is Stephen Thompson. I cover Pitt athletics for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, coming to you the morning after Pitt took down Wake Forest 80-76 in overtime at the Peterson Event Center. A nice win for the Panthers. I'm not going to tell you they beat the 86 Celtics last night, but showed a little bit of resolve, a little bit of fight, and I think some improvement in some key areas. So let's talk about, first of all, how they won. Obviously, I think Roman Siulepa started the game. 5 of 15 shooting from the field, knocked down a couple threes, but his offensive rebounding was critical. Pitt put up 20 second chance points and then another 17 off of turnovers. Excuse me. The ability to create second chances or create extra opportunities either via offensive rebounding. Pitt had 16 for the game, or their ability to force turnovers, get out in transition. They forced 13 Wake Forest turnovers. Those things were really what fueled them. It was not a particularly stellar night shooting the basketball. Pitt only shot 38% from the field, 30% from three. Though they improved, especially from three-point range in the second half, that really kind of got them going and allowed them to take a lead. It was really the offensive rebounding led by Roman Siulepa with 8. That was what fueled the offense. They were not shooting well early in the game, but they hung in the fight with their defense, and Siulepa being able to help them create some extra opportunities was really huge. Barry Dunning Jr. also chipped in 4 offensive rebounds as well. Cam Corrin had a couple too. Real team effort on the glass, and that was what really kept them in the game until, like I said, the three started to fall in the second half. At one point, I think Pitt made 6 of their first 12 threes coming out of halftime, and they missed their last 6 to end the second half. But the reasons that they were able to keep up with kind of an offensive explosion in the second half, I guess you could say some improved offense in the second half, was because of their ability to create second chances. Their defense, the hustle plays on the offensive end, covered for some poor shooting, especially early, and had them in the game late. But these are also, this is a style of game, a script of game that Pitt has found itself on the wrong side of more often than not this year, especially in ACC play. They will play teams like Clemson, like Miami, Syracuse, NC State close, and then they will get to the final few minutes and fumble it away. The offense will completely stagnate. They will completely, just not be able to put the ball in the basket. So I think that was another point where I think Pitt showed some growth, so some improvement, or at least played better in this game. They were able to close this game out with 18 points on their last 12 possessions of the second half in overtime. From the 2:49 mark of the second half, they went down 4 at that point. Barry Dunning misses a layup, and then I believe Brandon Cummings slips around midcourt and throws a pass into the sidelines out of bounds. But from that point on, Pitt averaged a point and a half per possession through the end of the game, and was able to just put the ball in the basket enough times. They didn't get a ton of stops down the stretch, but they were able to do just enough to keep them in the game. Roman Siulepa has a huge steal and slam. He's playing with 4 fouls, but he's aggressive going for pursuing a steal because the coaches, trust him and don't want to limit his aggressiveness. He steal and slam to tie the game with about a minute left. And then Omari Witherspoon comes back down on the other end and makes a really big shot or misses, a big shot at the end of regulation, hangs in there and eventually hits the game-winning shot. Barry Dunning misses that layup, like I said, after Pitt goes down 4, hangs in there, gets a big layup that helps cut the lead to 2, setting up Siulepa's game-tying dunk with about a minute left. Helps when, guys like Nate Calmezzi, who scored 10 points in 10 minutes, goes down with an injury. I think it was around maybe the 7-minute mark of the first half, and then Juke Harris only plays 27 minutes, saddled with foul trouble. He's Wake Forest's leading scorer, but he eventually fouls out in overtime after scoring 17 points. So stuff like that helps. But Pitt was, I think, by their own merit, better in this game, showed some improvement. My biggest takeaway, though, outside of kind of the crunch time offense being a little bit better and Pitt showing some better poise, some more improvement. I should also note that on their last 12 possessions when they scored 18 points, averaging a point and a half per possession, they also never turned it over. They didn't turn it over in overtime. They didn't turn it over in the final 2:45 in the final 2 minutes of overtime. So moments where Pitt had folded in the past, they were really good in this game. And the free throw shooting was again pretty rough, but they go 75% in overtime and 4 of 6 from the free throw line in the second half. So that's 10 of 14 from the free throw line in the second half in overtime after going 7 for 11 in the first half. So a couple nice improvements from them as a team, but really the stars of the game were the freshmen for me. So Pitt played 3 freshmen in this game. Obviously, we talked about Siulepa, career high 15 rebounds, scored 15 points as well. That's his third straight triple-double. He got his first one up at Boston College, and he's posted 2 ever since. He's averaging just under 15 points per game over those 3 games. His touch around the rim has really improved. You can see the aggression being kind of channeled into more productive means over these past few games. He's kind of honing what his athleticism and his body can do into the game of basketball. It's not just brute force anymore, but it's knowing how he can use his strength, his athleticism, his speed, also running in the open court. And it helps that he is an improved defender and he's not gambling as much. He's being more smart with his fouls. Foul trouble, again, sort of an issue in this game, but he played for a good bit of the second half with 3 fouls. Then into overtime, he played with 4 fouls and was able to keep it stuck there for the rest of the game. And he was an absolute animal. He's playing really well right now. Also notable, he went 3 of 3 from the free throw line. That's the first time this season that he has made all of his free throws when he takes more than 1 attempt. Or actually, excuse me, that is the second time it has happened. He also made 3 of 3 against Syracuse. So nice improvements from Roman Siulepa. Omari Witherspoon delivered the game-winning basket in overtime. He was 4-9 from the field, scored in double figures for the first time in, I believe, it's 24 days. It was the Clemson game that he last cracked double figures. He was really good in overtime, scored 5 of his 13 points in overtime. Had been a rough shooting stretch for him, but also adds 3 rebounds, 4 assists to no turnovers. I think him showing some improved ability as a playmaker is really encouraging as well. Jeff Capel said that he and Milan Brown, the coaching staff as a whole, really want to simplify some things for him offensively. He was able to, and that they saw some kind of results from that as well. He's a hard worker as well. Jeff Capel pointed that out. And he's just kind of got to trust his work, but you can definitely see, especially in those big moments, him kind of settle things down and be able to deliver. I think the Georgia Tech win was also a moment where Omari was able to be a closer for the Panthers. And so a really strong game for him in 29 minutes, 29 and a half minutes. But also, Macari Moore in 9 minutes leads the team in plus minus with 11, 5 points, 2 of 2 from the field. Had a few turnovers, but, I thought gave Pitt some really, really strong minutes. He has such great energy. He's a solid defender. He's not small. He's young. He gambles a little bit too much, but that's something that all freshmen do. So I was really encouraged by what you see from the freshmen in this game. And, I point that out because development of these young guys, I think, is the single most important thing to watch for this team moving forward. That is really the one thing that at this point, when you're looking at a 9-12 basketball team, 9-12, 2-6 in ACC play, you are looking for, if you are looking for reasons to bring Jeff Capel back, and I know most of the people watching this video are not, but if you are Alan Green, if you are the powers that be in Pitt Athletics, and you are thinking about, okay, you're making an evaluation of, okay, is it worth it for us to invest in a buyout, try to bring in someone new, or give Jeff Capel one more year, bring in that recruiting class, maybe invest a little bit more in the program and see what happens. The development of these three freshmen, and then to a lesser extent, Kieran Mullen as well down the stretch, is one of those things that you need to really watch closely, because obviously if you fire a coach, you run the risk of losing your entire roster. These guys that Jeff Capel recruited, Jeff Capel and his staff recruited. So the fact that Siulepa, the fact that Witherspoon and Macari Moore have gotten better over the course of this year, have become positive contributors for this team, is really important. What they're able to do down the stretch of this season, especially as the schedule gets a little bit harder, is the single most important thing. It is the one thing that I will be watching most intently down the stretch of the season, because I don't think we're at a point where you can evaluate this team based simply on wins and losses. There's a reality with the construction of the roster that they were never really supposed to win a ton of games. I mean, they were picked, 14th in the ACC preseason poll. If you're just counting simple wins and losses, then I think you've already come to a conclusion about what you want to do with Jeff Capel next year, right? So if there is still a decision to be made, the development of those three freshmen and then Mullen, like I said, is going to be what this all kind of hinges on, right? Is if they're put in more simple terms, is there a future to sell here? And certainly last night, obviously one game, obviously against a struggling Wake Forest team that I believe is now, if not tied for the worst record, tied for the second worst record with Pitt. There's a 4-way tie of teams at 2-6 right now. But for at least one night, those freshmen really showed some great improvements, helped Pitt get over the hump in some areas that it really struggled in, and gave you some more encouraging things to look at. And just another data point that you have to consider when you're thinking about, is Jeff Capel the right guy to lead this team into next year, or lead this program into next year? So a good win for Pitt. Showed some positive things. They continue to win the rebounding battles as well. That's another place where Pitt has really improved. I think they've won the rebounding battle in 4 of their last 6 games. That's what fueled a better offensive night, got them into overtime, and then they were able to create buckets when they needed them most. And that's something that they've really struggled to do in crunch time. So some encouraging stuff. A win that they really needed to, stay out of, last place in the ACC, and keep hopes of making the ACC tournament alive. It's not necessarily guaranteed at this point. They're still going to have to continue to battle out. They have only 2 games left that I think you would consider even 50-50 or likely wins. That's against Notre Dame and Florida State, both of those at home. So Pitt really needed this one if they want to play some postseason basketball, and I think this win will end up going a long way for them in that pursuit. The bottom of the ACC standings, the 3 teams that are going to be left out of the ACC tournament stay home that second week of March. It's not going to be a lot separating them. Going to be some tiebreakers that separate them, but every win that you can, those are teams down there that may only have 2, 3, 4 wins in ACC play. So Panthers with 2 wins right now in a much better spot than they would be if they fell on the wrong side of that overtime game against Wake Forest. That's also the first time our friends at FanDuel had them as 1.5-point favorites. That is the first time, I believe, this season that Pitt has been a favorite against a power conference opponent, and they have been favored, I believe, in their last in maybe 2 of their last 3 games. I think the Boston College game and this game were games that they were favored in. First time they've beaten a power conference opponent while they have been favored. Maybe they were favored in 1 more, but I would have to go back and check the data. But certainly I know that Pitt has not won a game that they were favored in against a power conference opponent this season. So Pitt able to deliver something for those of us with you with vested interests, and just a nice win all around, one that Pitt really needed for morale reasons. And then also, like I mentioned, standings, development of these young guys, some encouraging stuff coming out of the Pete on Tuesday night. Thank you all for joining me for this video. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to our channel, PG Pitt on YouTube, follow all of our written work at post-gazette.com. We're writing more about those freshmen later this week, so make sure you check that out. And I will see you all on the next video. Bye.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.